a nifty feature which we call intercom. If you don't want it, you can just delete it or not use it. Again, the setting for the intercom, you put in the IP address of your Crestron Adagio system, you put in the port for the Pronto unit that you're using, and you put in the zone numbers that you want to be included in your intercom function. The intercom function actually uses a telephone output or a steward call output or whatever you want to be broadcasting into a defined set of zones. So for instance, you could configure a preset, which you're going to see here, which we could call all. That would activate all speakers, turn the system on, switch to input 10. We use source 10 input on the Crestron Adagio system as a default input for the intercom functionality. And you could use your cordless telephone system to broadcast a message through the house. For instance, we could have this kids, so you could call the kids to dinner. Once you've done this, you're finished configuring your intercom functionality. And now you see you actually have the Adagio zones. Well, each activity gives you sort of a start screen for your individual zone or room. So what you see again is the graphical layout that we took from the Philips clean design. So you could also, if you don't like this, change the graphics, do whatever you want. And each of these buttons represents an input from the Crestron Adagio system. So this would be source 1, source 2, and so forth. And as you can see over here, each button can have an action. So you could add an IR action, do something here. You could add a jump to some other activity. So for instance, if you were to select TV, you jump into your TV activity where you see all your channel icons and have your TV control and everything. The same with DVD. If you jump to DVD, you have your DVD activity and you have all the tracking features and everything, the buttons that you need for DVD control. Make sure once you've put in your actions, you enable the Pronto script again, because otherwise the script will not function properly. Once you've done this, when you press a button, all the actions that are on the button will be executed, and when you're jumping into a new activity, you're going to jump into a new activity. Once you've done this, you're finished configuring zone 1. You do the same with zone 2, zone 3, how many zones you're using. And once you've done this, whether you're going to believe me or not, you're finished configuring your entire system. Now, let me show you how our model actually looks and works. On the home page, you see all the zones that are in your project. You have a zones overview and an intercom button on top. And if you have enabled this feature, you have the group presets that you can access by pressing on the button here or using your firm keys. Let's say I jump into zone 1. You have an instantaneous feedback that the zone has been switched off. I can turn it on by pressing on any of those activity buttons, which could then take me to an individual TV activity. I have full bidirectional feedback of the volume control, so I can turn the volume up or down. I can mute and unmute each zone, which is also displayed on top of the screen. And if I press the power button, I can turn the zone off as well. I can easily turn it on by using any other of the inputs. So this would be source 3 to source 10. The volume up, volume down, and mute function can be easily copied into any of your activities, so you have full bidirectional feedback also in any of your individual activities. Let's say I jump into the zones overview page. I can see that zone 1 has been switched on. I can turn zone 2 on, zone 4 on, zone 3 on if I want to, and have individual control of each of those zones in this overview page. So I can turn the volume up and down. I can again mute or unmute the zone, turn those zones off real quick. And I also have a feature which is very nice. I can select the input straight away for each individual zone, and I also have an individual equalizer for each zone. So I could adjust the bass, adjust the treble. I can, if I want to, change balance. I can turn loudness on and off. I can set a start volume for each individual zone and a max volume for each individual zone. Or I can reset it to default values if I so wish. This information is then, once I've changed it, stored in the Crestron Adagio system. So even in case of a power loss, all this data will be stored in your Crestron system. Another nice feature we have is the group feature. So let's jump into the group feature page. This is again the presets for all of your 5 groups that you have. Let's say I were to activate all zones and I want to check what zones are included. I can go to group configuration and I see that already all the 12 zones are included in my all zones setup. Let's say I want to see what's in my living area setup and I see that zones 3 and 4 are included. Let's say I don't want them in my living area setup. I can just unlink them from the zone, press the button, keep it pressed, Pronto beeps, and now I can show you we have only stored these 2 rooms in the living area preset. This is really convenient and powerful for the end user because he can dynamically change any of his zone settings for his preset of the groups. So let's say we were to use all zones and we're going to turn all zones on using input TV. I now jump back and I can see instantly that all the 12 zones that are in my setting have been turned on and switched to input TV. Say I go back to groups and I change it to camera. I jump back and I can see that all my 12 zones have been switched to the camera input. So again, it's very easy and also easy to understand for the customer how to control, for instance, his party or all zone setting. These are the presets where we put in the low difference and the high difference to the start volume of the room. So if I put this to low, you can see that all zones are changing to their appropriate low value. And if I put it to high, you can again see that all zones have been turned to their high volume. So again, it's very easy and very fast. You can also access the intercom function, where again you can see our presets. It always uses input 10 from the Crestron Adagio system to be connected to a telephone system or a steward call system. So I can again say all, see what's included in all. If I don't like this, if I want to take out 2 zones while using the intercom feature, I do it just the same way as we did with the group setting. So now this is stored for all. So this could be kids and this is all. You start by pressing the button OK. So now all the inputs, you can see intercom is active, have been switched to input 10. You don't believe me? Well, let me show you. If I go to the zones overview page, you can see that all the inputs that are in this zone, we only used 1 to 10, have been switched to source input 10. As you can see, our setting and our usage of the module is very easy. It's very well designed and it's very easy for the customer to understand what's going on in his setup. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, you can easily reach out at info@empure.de and we're happy to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.